Yeah, wrong. It's forever. It is forever the wrong cam. Every day of the week, it is the wrong cam, and twice on Sundays. How's everybody doing? We're live at 6:30. Where I'm a little bit early, but today, as an update for guys, a couple things happened. One of them is that I ended up retiring my tried and true, dedicated, longtime friend, my Harbor Freight floor jack. First of all, I've got some good stories about it. It's a terrible jack. It's heavy, and that, I mean, it's done a lot for us. I mean, I say that it's a terrible jack. It's just heavy and awful. It's like having a big block, but it has worked a lot, and it has done lots of stuff. I was talking to Jimmy about it today, and sent a message off to my buddy Bernie, who the story is about. His saved Bernie's life. This floor jack is basically like that Turbo XS boost controller that I have that has been around for decades. So the jack was used in our used at our shops, at the tech shop, at Rammer Technology, during our World Challenge stuff, during Bridgestone Supercar, all of this stuff. This was the jack that we used over and over and over again, lifting this big heavy thing up. This is before, basically, or we couldn't have cool like aluminum race jacks. I don't even know if they had them back then. And some of the guys had really big floor jacks. We had Harbor Freight stuff because that's what kind of budget we were on. We were Harbor Freights. In fact, my brother came to one of the races and said, "Geez, you guys cannot even afford real Pop-Tarts," because we had fake Pop-Tarts. That's where we were. That's where our program was. But it was definitely the Harbor Freight floor jack situation. And I dragged it out just recently because I'm doing work on the Sprint and I'm taking the motor out of it. And so I'm jacking the car up for various things. I'm also going to drop the fuel tank and stuff. And we're going to do some things on it. So I got to jack up the front. I got to take I'm wrestling right now with the axles, getting the axles out. They don't want to cooperate. They don't want to come out. I have them out of the spindles, but not out of the transmission. So I'm going to go to Harbor Freight again tomorrow. I forgot to get something while I was there. It's always the way. I need to get a fuel jug. And so I want to drain the fuel out of the Sprint. I think that's probably about 5 gallons. So I want to drain 5 gallons out. But I want to get that. But when I go back there, I'm going to get a big, 4 foot or something, 6 foot or whatever, a big pry bar so I can pop those axles out. I'm hoping that that's all it takes. I've got a fairly good sized screwdriver, but it was not having any of it. It was not. It said, yeah, no, I'm not coming out of there. So, and I don't. That's just part of the deal. Just wrestling with stuff. You're always looking at that, especially an older car like this. It's been sitting outside for a long time. There's a lot of rust. The whole brakes, the rotors on the brakes are rusted up. And so I think that they could be kissed or turned or whatever. Maybe I could just put them on there and put the pads on there and just put the brakes on, and I could shine them back up a little bit. But all of that stuff, that's all normal stuff. So I got to, there has been something living in there. There's a ton of walnuts. So at least whatever was in there, a squirrel or whatever or rats or whatever, at least they were eating well. So they were having walnuts and stuff. And so, they're looking, they've been watching the internet. They've been watching social media and recognizing, hey, those are good for me. The walnuts are good for me. So I've cleaned all that stuff out. But after I've dropped the exhaust, pulled the axles out. As soon as I get that one side out of the transmission, as I get those out, the only thing that's left is to unbolt the motor mounts, the mounts that are holding it, the motor and trans mounts, and then the thing's ready to come out. So that would be good. I'm excited about getting that out. It's been, it's always new when I took the AC out of it, unfortunately. So if anybody's looking for AC stuff for a Sprint Turbo, please let me know. I've got some AC stuff. I want to get rid of that. And then if anybody is looking I'm selling the Metro, I'm selling Project Panda Express, because I'm not going to use the Metro for this Bonneville thing. So I just need to get rid of it. It's a real XFI. The motor runs great. It only has 4 gears, but I'm told 5th gear is pretty easy to fix on that thing. The interior is not great. It's not a car that I would want to drive around in. You could make it do that, but like $700. I put new tires on it. We put new ignition stuff on it, and so I've spent way more money. I've spent more than double that amount on this car. get it back and stuff. So if anybody's interested in that and they want it, it comes with another spare door. It's got a couple spare tires and stuff. So just let me know, and I'm going to get rid of that. I'm also thinking about selling the Trail 90. I just went out and rode that today. Although I rode it today and I got a flat tire. So I think that the tire is just, the rear tire is just aged. So I'm going to put another tire on it just so that it's new and working. But it started right up. I put gas in it and it started right up. And I drove it around. I wouldn't, and I was going around the corner to the gas station to put gas in it. I was going to put premium in it, and then I noticed that the thing was like, I'm like, this feels wobbly. Oh yeah, that's why. So I'm going to put another tire on it. But I'm probably going to sell that as well, just to get some stuff out of the garage and help fund the Bonneville effort. But the jack. So back to the jack. So I went to Harbor Freight. I got one of the aluminum, lightweight floor jacks. It's a 2.5 ton. And it was on sale for $160 or something. It was reasonably priced. It's so much lighter to work around, and it works better. The other Allied, I think Allied made them for Harbor Freight. The other Harbor Freight would work. You could jack it up, but it would slowly drop down. It needed new seals and stuff, which is not hard to do. It's pretty easy to fix it, and it probably would last another 2 or 3 decades. But I don't want to use it, like I said, because it's just too heavy. So away it goes. And it's replaced by a good jack that I should have had long ago, because I've been doing some work on cars and stuff, at least brakes and things like that for my wife's cars and some friends and stuff, my son, and now the Metro and stuff. So I need to have something that'll work. And I wanted to get something big enough that, like, if I'm picking the Sprint up, really you could just get two guys could almost pick it up. So you don't need a really big jack for that. But I thought, well, I'm ever going to do work on the truck, I need something that's going to lift something heavy. So that should be enough jack for all of that stuff. So it'll work. But the story on the jack is that this jack, like I said, this Harbor Freight jack actually saved a life. My crew chief, Bernie, we were at one of the races and the car was outside the trailer. We had an enclosed trailer for the car to travel in. And this is a World Challenge Mustang, and the car was up on jack stands, and Bernie was underneath it working on the transmission or something, is working on it. And I'm in the trailer and I'm getting stuff ready for, doing stuff race related, getting things ready to go racing. And I hear, "Hey, Rick, come out here. Hurry." And what had happened was they had recently paved this asphalt. And so we put the jacks on, and the jack started basically sinking into the asphalt. And so the car was dropping down on Bernie. And it was like, he's like trying to bench press the car. So I come jam out there, flying out there, take the jack, swinging it into place, jack it up on one side to get it, to basically get it off of him from crushing him. And I'm like, yeah, that's an important thing. We need to put metal plates under there or something. Because I've seen guys do that. And in some places they want you to do that so that you don't hurt the asphalt, put wooden plate, boards or whatever on. But I've even seen guys weld pads on those so that because otherwise these jack stands, again, Harbor Freight stuff, these Harbor Freight jack stands that we use. Now we have the older ones before the Widowmaker series. We have the older ones, but still they're a sharp edge deal, and they will definitely dig in. So like I said, I've seen guys have where they tack weld plates onto them and stick them in there. But so that was an exciting thing. So it's just one of those things that you remember. And that's why I sent my buddy Bernie a photo. I said, yep, it's time. She's been through a lot. And this is like, this thing's been to Bonneville and it's been everywhere. And so it's, it's time. It's time for it not to be around anymore. So which is cool. I'm going to, when I pull the motor out of the Sprint, I'm going to take it apart, not all the way apart. I'm just going to pull the head off. I just want to see what the issue is. I'm going to see if I'm thinking head gasket, but we'll see what it is. And that will allow me to, do some, maybe look at it and do some fun stuff. We have richardholderperformance.com. We have the cams have been back in stock for quite a while. So we've got low buck truck camshafts. The other thing that people should be buying that I'm surprised that they're not buying more of is the 50-pound flex fuel injectors. They're the most inexpensive injectors that we have on the channel. So for all the guys that are running like naturally aspirated deals that are doing cam upgrades, all of the 4.8, 5.3, and 6.0 guys, you should all be running that injector. If you're just doing an NA deal and you're not going to run a turbo later on, and even if you're going to run a turbo at like 500 or 600 at the tire or whatever, you can probably get away with on those injectors, and they're inexpensive. So guys should be getting those. We have the pumps, the 525 pumps, and the other thing that I wanted to tell people is if you guys take a look at all the videos that we did on the turbo stuff too, and so you might want to put an order in for turbos. We've got more stuff coming in this month, and so get your name on one because I can't believe how fast they were selling. People are very, very happy with those. Getaway, let's go. So we'll see what you guys got going on. Getaway, what's going on? Would you put peanut port heads on a 496 for a tow engine? It depends on what else you're doing besides that displacement. Like how much power do you want to make? I don't think you need peanut port heads. Peanut port heads will definitely limit power and torque on that motor. You could put 265 airflow research heads on. I know that they're probably a lot more money, but you could put other heads and not hurt low speed power with that size motor. So they're not what I would choose. Can you run them if you already have them? Yeah, absolutely. I have the same jack. I was never so happy with the cheap aluminum jacks came around. Still have all of them. Even have some rebuild kits I bought for them, but they still work. See, funny bike. I'm thinking back, and I'm almost thinking that we probably got because we were going racing. I'm thinking we probably got like a rebuild kit for it, but I have no idea where it would be now because, it's been a long time. Be careful with aluminum jacks; they break. Where does it break at? Does it separate or something? Learning cap is on. New Jack City. There you go. Everyone should be boosting. Yeah, boost just makes everything better. Are you feeling down? You should add boost. Feeling lonely? You should add boost. I have one that's great for picking up my square Suburban. Yep. And I like it. I like that it has a pad on it. Now I've put on the Sprint, I put a wooden section of 2x4 that we've cut up. I put that on there just to lift it up because you could jack that thing up and, it only weighs 1,600 or 1,700 pounds. It's like made of tinfoil, which I love, which is awesome. I like light cars like that, and driving it around, they feel small. Like when you're driving the Metro, the XFI, or you're driving this car, it's small relative to all the other things that are on the road. I'm curious to see if anybody's going to try the single side turbo. I'd like to see that I would kind of like to see that at LS Fest. Kind of excited about that. I want to see somebody just try it. Jimmy's going to be working on an exhaust manifold for truck, Suburban, that kind of application anyway, with that sort of accessory drive. So we'll see. We kind of have a cool idea that we want to try, and if it works out, it'll be good. It'll be good for people. I know you've covered this, but I can't find the video, so sorry to ask. But what's your estimate on horsepower for an LM7 sloppy stage 2 with 706 heads? That's just a sloppy stage 2 cam. If everything else is stock, that's just a cam upgrade. I can tell you what one did when we tested it. I don't remember. I never tested one of those on an LM7 that I can remember. We tested on the L33, so it'd be down 10 from this or 15 or something from this. Stock versus, okay, here we go. Stock cam was 365, 364. Sloppy stage 2 was 437. So that cam makes decent power. It loses a lot below 3,600 compared to the stock cam. In fact, it loses a little bit all the way up to 3,900. Because it's a 228 cam, so it's pretty good size. The thing that helps it is it's almost a single pattern cam, being 228, 230. But it will work. You'll be in the low 400s with a sloppy stage 2 cam in a 5.7 NA at the flywheel. You really need to bolt check them. I replace the important bolts and Loctite everything. We also ran a chase tap. The threads were horrible. On what? Are you talking about the jacks? .350 TBI on a dual plane. Crossfire vet. So did you get rid of the crossfire injection and put a dual plane TBI intake manifold on it and then a factory TBI on it? How are you running that? Out chasing down vintage bikes on Marketplace tonight. What kind of vintage bike are you looking at? Are you looking at a Honda Trail 90? Is that vintage enough for you? There. We're live. It's all the way live. And we're deleting that. Truck Plus order. Yeah, Truck Plus cam. Low buck truck. Sean, I don't know what you're saying yes to. You got rid of the crossfire injection, I'm assuming, and put the other one on, but I don't know what computer you're running with. I'm thinking you can't run that with a crossfire computer. So did you install a different ECU and harness and stuff? I don't know how you're making all that work. The aluminum jacks had loose bolts and I had good bolts on the shelf, so why not? Maybe they're good. Spell check, change the words. Oh, did you like upgrade the hardware on it or something? Are you worried about the hardware breaking on it? Already nabbed a CB550 bobber frame, motor only. Now trying to get a 79 GS750E 3 miles away. Okay. How about an RD400? Or a CL100? That's what I had when I was growing up. Plan on doing head and intake upgrade soon. Going to stick with the cam only with Trailblazer SS intake for now. Okay. That's all good. 85 V65 Sabre. Is a Sabre different than a V65 Magna? V45, V65 Magna. Don't usually find those in the affordable and fixable range. Yeah, no, I get it. A Steel 100. I drove that everywhere. That was my first motorcycle that I bought. And I bought it when I lived up at Tahoe. I was in, I don't know, I'm trying to think, it was like 8th grade or something. It was a street bike, but we rode it everywhere because there's trails. There's thousands of miles of trails up in the hills in Tahoe, and we rode it everywhere. We rode it on Highway 50. We rode it out in the trails. We rode it up and down in front of my house, and just all kinds of stuff. It was very cool. Same motor, different frame. Okay. Irvin's in the house. The bolts seem poorly made. The threads felt bad. If you're running a tap, it's probably fine. It's been 20 years. Okay. Hello, what are you doing? You gonna come see me? Huh? What is up, Brady? Oh, Brady, he's a good boy. Oh, I am. Oh, I am a good boy. Huh? Did you go outside and did you find some squirrels out there? Brady, go get the squirrel. Go get the squirrel. And he's off. He's off. He's squirrel. It's just definitely the magic word. They know what that is. And not like we taught him what a squirrel is. He knows what a squirrel is. Coworker and I may have a problem. We got 200 or 20 bikes between us. Boss man has over 100. He owns the dealership. Cool. I like the trail 90s. I like the 70s and the 50s also. 84 V65 Magnum once. It ran pretty good. Yeah. I wouldn't mind a restored VMAX. CX 500. Nice. I've had quite a few bikes. Afternoon from Florida. Have you been after snakes lately? I haven't, but I've been watching snake videos. In fact, I just got off watching one. The guy was, I think he was doing it in Georgia. There's lots of good stuff, obviously, in Florida, and I want to go back to Florida. In fact, I was watching the Python Cowboy. I like watching his stuff too. I may see if he does tours and see if I can get hooked up with that. I just want somebody to take Jimmy and I out where we're not on main highways and roads and stuff. I just want to go back in the bush, man. I want to go back in the brush and see what's up. I wish puppies didn't have to grow up. Yeah. Is it warm in Florida right now? I know Jimmy was saying it's warm in Georgia where he's at. Eric, you made it. I'm excited about dropping the fuel tank on the Sprint Turbo and then taking the pump out and then making the pump work. Hammering on it and stuff. Opinion on AFM gauges and sensors. I have a base swap O2 sensor missing wires. What are AFM gauges and sensors? 75 today. That's nice. Like, see your Chinese family vacation squirrel. Yep, they're out. Because we do have lots of squirrels that come in the backyard all the time, and the dogs just go nuts. They're like, "Look at that thing! It's in my yard. I need to go jack them up." Have you ridden with the new 1700 VMAXs? Somebody makes a chain drive conversion that puts 230 at the wheels. Wow, that'd be pretty sporty. Are they shaft drives? Does it make less with a shaft? Had a Honda 65 Dream with big plastic fenders. Got all kinds of grief for it, but everybody rode it. Look up what an 86 Honda Z50R Christmas special sold for on the Bring a Trailer. You won't believe it. I would imagine that they're not cheap anymore. I know that there are guys that are doing full restorations on stuff like that, and it's money. Factory tune with a shaft drive, they're like 175 wheel horsepower. Yeah, only. That's a lot. I'm sure the bike will spin the tires, right? It's got to. It's got to do good stuff. Or I don't know. I don't know what the longevity is on the old like 750 turbos, like the Kawasaki ones. I mean, I know all the other bike that I wanted for a long time. I just wanted to ride one was a Hayabusa, just because it was, it got all the press. I know that there's faster bikes and stuff, but that was the one. If you're on the Goldwing 1100 dress needs resto, digital dashes. You ever come to Iowa? I'll have to let you ride a few of my bikes. GS 750. Oh, ZX14 would be a lot of bike. Yeah, I had a GSXR 750. This is probably back in the 80s. And a 500 Interceptor and a 600 Ninja. And then the smaller bikes. In fact, I had a couple of smaller bikes recently, a DT125. I had a DT100, I had the CL100, had this Trail 90. I had a 400 Enduro, like a Suzuki that I used to ride. It was too big, but I thought that I needed something that big. I'm like, well, there's 250 Hondas I could get. I should get the 400 because I'm going to be climbing hills up to look for snakes. Like that thing would ride wheelies up the hills that I was climbing, so it was not a problem at all. Maybe a Turbo Busa if I had it rebuilt by then. That would be a lot of bike. I remember doing 140-ish on the 750. That's plenty. I love my Harbor Freight jack stands. The jack stands we've had for that long as well. Wheelies are good. I don't do wheelies on bikes. I don't think I ever have. Even on little ones. I remember riding little pit bikes, the little 50cc pit bikes, which were really cool. But that was never my thing. Had it for 10 years. Have you seen YouTube Like Challenge? I'd love to have an old F-250 with a 460 and turbo go against a $10,000, $100,000 new truck. 20,000 in the whole project. I haven't seen that. I grew up riding ATCs, the three-wheelers. I have ridden three-wheelers also. I remember the first time I rode one, we went out to visit a buddy of mine that I grew up with and known him since I was 4. And we went out to visit some of his family, and they said, yeah, you guys can go out in this property. He said, there's a three-wheeler out there. You guys can ride it around if you want. We're like, oh, that's going to be awesome. We're riding around. Wow. No wonder they don't make these anymore. These are a little bit diabolical, but so much fun. It was awesome. That one definitely is first gen, so no electronic nannies at 18 psi at full wheels in 6th gear at 175. Yeah, that's a lot. 250R, currently have an 84 252 stroke. My brother had probably was a DT 175, a Yamaha, and we got to ride that around. It was fun, and I got to ride my buddy's RD 400 back in high school a bunch. Advice on aftermarket standalone air fuel mixture sensor to read exhaust rich lean scale. So you want an air fuel meter. Okay, there's lots of them out there. The one that we use at Bonneville for all the Bonneville runs was an Innovate, but lots of people make them. Fast has them. AEM has them. There's lots of good ones. Gone to Glamis my whole life. We had dune buggies, 455s old, nice in them. I remember Jimmy. I went out to visit Jimmy in New Mexico, and we went and rode quads. And I think he had Banshees probably. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to be jumping this thing. We're taking this off some sweet jumps. It's pretty fun. Could you test the Speedmaster LS3 intake manifold? I don't know which one that is. I'm surprised that there would be one that I haven't tested. Supposedly turbo is capable of 500. Haven't found the cojones to turn it up past 22. Is the motor built so that it would do that? I've got a Banshee and love to find its bike brother, the RD400. Yeah, the Banshees were impressive, and his was piped and all that. Power band on Banshee, yeah. Our crash, yeah. You had to be wicked up, but man, they would go. Forge bottom end. Okay, that's cool. That's a lot of bike. Sell my first Harbor Freight jack. Must have been from '99. Yeah, I know. I know. I saw in the post that I made on social media today. I posted on Instagram and shared it on Facebook, and then Jeff Smith naturally had to chime in. He's like, "Yep, I've had my jack since 1979. Jeff, you win." Jeff's awesome. It's from the 70s. That's definitely OG. But they will last a long time. I'm sure if I put a seal kit in mine, it would last. But I don't want to wheel that jack around, and it scratches up everything when you wheel it around too. Got a 205 speeding ticket. You were going 205 on a bike? That's fast. Two-piece fabricator ram air. What's your dream car engine combo? A McLaren F1, but mine would be boosted. We've got some vintage H1s and H2s for sale. Oh, those are cool. I remember reading about those. 300 or so new bikes we got in stock. Cool. Do you have any, you know what I want? Is I want a Honda Spree. Do you have any of those? I like weird stuff, and I need something like that so that I can, I'm thinking about just getting a electric bike or electric scooter, so that I can, when I go out and look for snakes. I need a jack stand for a lifted truck. Even though the truck is lowered, there isn't much jack points down low. Had a 75 Honda Z50A for 42 years. Still proud of her. That's good. And yours is the stroker one, right, Eric? It's kind of new, I believe. Released maybe 8 months ago, if I'm not mistaken. Two-piece fabricated ram air, 98 millimeter. Why would they make it 98 millimeters? That's a weird size. Have you followed Gordon Murray's? Yeah, I've seen a lot of his stuff. But I don't want a T50. I don't like the newer stuff. I mean, they're great, and when I was with Chad when he had to race against one, and they're amazing and super fast, and I'm sure a better car. That's not why I like that one. That's not why I like these other ones. I would just want it to be more than, it needs to have 1,000 horsepower. I've got a Honda Spree, needs a new carb. Long ago, I bought my girlfriend one of those and she drove it around everywhere. And I thought it was fantastic. It's perfect for what I want to do because it's easy to step on and off. So that I can, because I'm driving basically with lights on the side of the road and to look for snakes, and we can see that stuff. And it just needs to be something I can get on and off of really fast, because so we can grab stuff. But I'd like to have one. CT70 in my Z50. Yep. You need a light aluminum floor jack or a bulletproof steel that heavy. Yeah, the one I got is an aluminum one. I went 220 on a turbo Hayabusa. That's really fast. 98 millimeters is very odd. I bought an adapter to run my 112 throttle body. Sinister, did you do that out at Bonneville or something? Where did you do that at? You need a Honda Cub, easy 90 2-stroke, flashback to 90s, drag, race pit bikes. Yeah. I want something that's like whisper quiet though. I don't want any, like I have a GoPed. I could drive that, but it's just all way too loud. I want everything to be in whisper mode. And a Spree is pretty whisper mode when you're cruising. The Spree was a centrifugal clutch, right? I would like it to have gears. That would be cool. His friend's bike that ran 247 at Bonneville. I did it on the interstate. Okay. Don't try spinning the back of a vehicle around with an aluminum floor jack. What happens to the aluminum floor jack if you do that? It's honestly surprising how not fast that feels. The boost in the ZX14 are so well designed for speed. They're very well behaved and calm at the speeds until telephone poles go past. Yeah, the bike part of it I wouldn't be worried about. It's the outside world that's the issue with going that speed. I mean, LC9 T56 Subaru, nice, with a 7875, a Truck Norris cam. Looking to upgrade turbo with a goal of 850 wheel, considering a G42. What AR for all streetcar? Well, we only sell one, so you should get the one that we have. That would definitely have a lot more power potential than a 7875. It flexes the aluminum frame. The aluminum frame doesn't like it. Okay. Yeah, 250 is seriously fast. The guys that go that fast out of Bonneville are doing it on the soft surface with tire ruts and stuff. My tip of the hat to those guys, because I don't know where they put their huevos at, but because those bikes are going fast. The Sprees have a belt 2-stage torque converter type clutch, same as a snowmobile clutch type. Okay. Got a nitrous question. Okay, I got a nitrous answer. On an LS6 manifold, what's the safe-ish limit for a dry setup of a Terminator X? Motors on an LM7 with a comp LS6 cam they picked up for cheap. So you're just running nitrous through it, and then you're going to run the fuel through the injector. That will be better. But even through the way that the manifolds are, the distribution I would be concerned with, unless you have a way to check what distribution is. We normally run 100 or 150 through those long runner manifolds. If I run the low buck truck cam, do I need to change the factory valve seals, and is running the factory rocker with a no trunnion and push rod and lifter safe? Okay, the low buck truck cam requires springs, so you have to change the springs unless you have 550 lift springs from the factory, like you have a rec port head. Then that's okay. Then you can just run that. The springs that we have don't need to change the seals on it, because you don't change the spring cup, so you use a factory seal. And is running the factory rocker with no trunnion and push rods and lifters safe. I'm sure that you mean no upgraded versions of those. You don't need trunnions. The LS3 that I have that has 700 pulls on, or between 650 and 700 pulls on it, and all of the miles, 100, 200, whatever, 1,000 miles on it from the wrecking yard, has all the original rockers in it and push rod. Well, it has different push rods in it, but the original lifters. Will the response of a G42 be better than a cast 7875? I've never compared it to a cast one. We've only compared it to a Gen 2 or Gen 2.5, but I would be very surprised if it's not equal or better than a 7875. Been 200 in the quarter on a turbo funny bike Kawasaki. The front tire comes down when you shut the throttle. The front tire's not off the ground very much though, right? It's a few inches maybe, because that's what the wheelie bar set up for. Just got my first 5.3 Vortex swap, if you can call it an LS swap. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's very, very good. Do you still have your first floor jack? That's our pole. That's our polio. Eric's out. Eric, let me know if you get that spree running, man. Sprees are awesome. How much horsepower did the Bonneville Civic make? We didn't run it with the highest power level, anywhere near the highest power level. It made 725 or something like that on the engine dyno, but we never ran it that high. We only ever ran about 17 pounds on it. Supposedly my shirt got delivered today, Jordan. Good. Congratulations on your win. For all 60 under wide open throttle, the truck will not shift from first to second. It goes up to 3,000, 3,500 and will not shift unless you step off the gas. So does anybody have any tuning information for less? Richard was wondering what fuel you ran on those LS cam tests. Which LS cam tests are you talking about? Because there's hundreds of them up there. Oh, I think that's a different Eric. Okay. Vortec makes less power than LS engines. Is that true? I don't know what your question is. Vortec is just another name for an LS family motor. Hello, what are you doing? The truck versions of the motors, which is that Vortec name, they don't get the car engines, so they don't get an LS3, they don't get an LS2, other than maybe the Trailblazer SS got that, but they don't get those versions of the motors. They have different ones that the car engines don't get. Order rebuild kit for it, has a bad seal after all these years. It's on the bars plus the wind of the chassis and rear tire growth, so 4.5 or so. We didn't run a sensor. Okay. I have the new Daytona jack from Harbor Freight. I just got a few years back. Still strong. The higher end Harbor Freight stuff is getting better now. I heard one of the head guys from Snap-on is developing their tools. The test on the low buck and the truck plus, that's 91. I think we're running it on 91. We run the motor cold, so we can run full timing on all that stuff. Building an L33 383 stroker, running 469 cam, 243 heads, but my engine builder's telling me to go with Summit Racing. I don't know what that number is. Are you talking about, is that a different camshaft or is that different cylinder heads? What is it? Richard, how much ring gap would you run on 327 small block for 10 PSI, stock everything, just ACES EFI on top with the eBay turbo? I'd run 6 thousandths per inch of bore. GTX turbo makes me want to build something to use it. I know, I want to put one. I want to put one of those GTX 3584s on the Sprint. It's just twice as big as it needs. Well, it's way more than twice as big as it needs to be. It's like 4 times as big as it needs to be. I have a 20-year-old Sears 3-ton jack that I need to retire soon. It's fought the good fight and leaks all over the garage. It's gotten weak. Yeah. Is an air-conditioned heat exchanger for boost worth it? I don't know what you mean. Are you talking about an intercooler? An intercooler is definitely a good idea. Anyone running jack extensions? Any of them any good? I have an F-250 with an 8-inch lift. I'm surprised guys with those trucks don't make like insert extensions that go up under the truck. They just slide into the truck or bolt onto the truck or somehow. And so that you just jack that up and you could get the tire off the ground and all that. I'm surprised that that's not a thing. It's got to be a thing, right? I'm not seeing too much information on the heads online. I don't know what cylinder heads those are. Are they the LS3 heads? If they're the LS3 heads, they're going to be better than your 243 heads. They're definitely going to make more power because it's a rec port head. If it's the castings that they have of like a new 243 head, I wouldn't get those. I would keep the ones that you have. Just got in from work, working on my project car. I was doing that today too. I got all greasy and stuff. Travis, the 1, 2, and 3, 4 accumulator piston seals might be leaking. I think I just discovered tonight that the Trailblazer SS intake wasn't exclusive to the Trailblazer SS. I don't think that it is. I think that is used on later trucks too. So, but somebody can correct me. Harbor Freight has always had amazing jacks. Mine's Pittsburgh. Mine might be a Pittsburgh too. I was thinking it was Allied for some reason. Had like 30 years, lost off a trailer at 60 miles an hour, still holding strong. Needs a new seal. I need to jack from the frame to the lower suspension. He's telling me that the Summit heads will flow more than the 243. I don't know which heads you're talking about. Truck nuts were outlawed. If you don't have bumpers, you use a high lift jack. You don't have a truck. What do you think about not running an intercooler on a blow-through throttle body EFI and on E85? Do you think there'll be enough cooling to not need an intercooler? At 10 psi, I think it'll be fine. But I would always try to have an intercooler. Got a Hypertech tuner when I bought my 5.3 Silverado it came with. Are these any good? I don't know if that's just like a programmer that allows you to do various things. I don't know if there are limitations from that. You'll want to be able to tune everything in there, and I don't know if that particular one will allow you to do that. My neighbor gave me his old jack. It's super good. It still works. That's perfect. Thomas, it's a can tune. Okay, yeah, it's just more timing. It maybe takes away a little bit of fuel or whatever. And those can add power on a otherwise stock motor, but it's not going to work for a tuned kind of thing or a modded kind of deal. Always look to drop the temperature of incoming air. $62 LS210. Let's see. LS210 Cathedral. Okay. What I'm thinking that is a okay, so it's a 202 valve. Is the other one? Oh, it's a 202-1600. I wonder if that is a permanent as cast. That looks like it's an Airflow Research enforcer head. So that probably will be better than the heads that you have. But if are you adding boost to this motor? I can't remember. How much power difference would an intercooler? I'm not looking for that nearly as much as I am looking for the added safety. Is LS6 intake worth a swap from an LS1 intake on a boosted application? I don't think I'd worry about that, but the intake definitely is better. Got to go. It's happy hour. I'm in need of a margarita or two or three. Keep up the great work. A performance tool steel floor jack, 3 years old, still going. My 1960s Lincoln floor steel floor jack died. Possibly boost. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't change the heads in if you're going to do boost, unless you're going way high in boost and then you want a thicker deck. I would just check and see what the deck thicknesses are on those heads. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it. Have you ever heard of a gear bias turbo? They were trying to get it to run off the rear diff. I guess it'd be a supercharger. Yeah, it'd be a supercharger. I've seen them drive all kinds of things, different kinds of pumps, alternators, a supercharger. All of that would work. The problem is that I don't think it's a good way to go. I think it'd be better to drive it off of the motor. And a turbo, just drive it off the exhaust so that you don't have the losses associated with doing that. For street use, do you like air to water or air to air? They both work fine. Because on the street, you're not using it very often. I mean, how often are you out wide open throttle? The rest of the time, the system's just recovering. And either one of them will work very well. My 5.3 with a sloppy best cam and a twin VS Racing made 586 at 14 PSI on 92. And it stopped raining in Portland. Okay. I'd just be excited about that part of it. DNA. I don't remember what your combination is now. I've scrolled down through too many things. .383 with that camshaft, and you could use more cylinder head than both of those. I'm thinking it's going to be low 5s. I've had a couple of OTC floor jacks at my shop. What happened with the symmetrical turbo series? I already did that test. I showed you what happened. We did a comparison between the log style and the header using a single turbo. I haven't run any more tests after that. I don't know that there's a need to do anything else with that. We know that it works. We could try a smaller turbo, I guess, maybe a 3076 or something. The only other information I would like is I'd like to know what the back pressure is to see where we are with the single side. I would like that, and then the other thing I would like to know is I'd like to know what the air fuel is on the other side. I'd like to know what the air fuel is on both sides to see if there's a difference. Is the air fuel different on the non-pressurized exhaust side on the all motor side? It's not all motor though. It's definitely boosted. Made good power. Is high compression 16-1 okay for a supercharger application? I don't know how you're going to make 16-1. I don't know what motor you're going to be able to get that with. But the octane that you would use is just a function, or the compression that you'd use is just a function of the octane. So if you have enough octane, you can run high compression. It's usually not necessary because it's the turbos. If you have turbos, they dictate the power. So you can usually make all of the power that the turbos will supply, irrespective of the static compression. .283 and 289, are they good tech for high RPM? If so, is it more swapping heads or just good tuning? Neither. I mean, both of those motors are really old, and neither one of them have good cylinder heads, and neither one of them are designed for high RPM. But that being said, it's a small block Ford and a small block Chevy. So if you put enough time and money into it, you can make anything like run lots of RPM. Did you run a large reservoir cooling system at Bonneville or stock motor radiator? In the Civic, we ran a single small aluminum radiator, stock pump. All that was just stock. And we actually kept going smaller and smaller on the opening, feeding the radiator because we never had an overheating issue. I mean, we're going 226 miles an hour, so at least at the top. So we got a lot of flow through, but overheating the motor was never a problem. We're running, ice water through the intercooler. We're running really good fuel. Have you ever tested hot side piping sizes and turbo response? Yeah, we just did that on the single-sided deal. We tested tubular headers versus the log style manifold, which is a change in hot side piping. How far would you push E85? Yeah, 1200 horsepower would not be a problem at all on E85. Use a cast iron, house jack, and railroad jack, one on each side. Your jack lifts 6 tons. Mine weighs 6 tons. Yeah, I don't want to have a heavy jack. Not really interested in that. I like swinging, being able to tail whip the jack. It makes it a lot easier to move around. I showed Lisa. I said, "Look what I got. This is awesome." She said, "Oh, I like the color." Winning. Then she moved it. She was like, "Oh yeah, that's a lot lighter. That's better. That other one's terrible." What would you get a 5.3 to be able to handle 8,000 RPM occasionally? Well, take a look at the 8,000 RPM build that we did. A lot of guys are running at 8,000. That's really just the valve train. You have to put probably more bearing clearance in it too, but forged rods and pistons will easily do that, and the stock crank will easily do that. You just got to get the valve train right. You have to get the cam profile to be stable at that RPM. And then you have to make sure that your oiling works. Ironically, my BMW double overhead cam red lines at 5,900. In fact, I was thinking about talking about this tonight. Jimmy was just doing some dyno testing on a turbo BMW, and he was showing the effect of changes in cam timing and then changes in ignition timing. So he's got a bunch of dyno data there, which is really good. I kind of like that stuff. Do you have a trick or tips for plumbing wastegate control? Best manual setup, best 3-port setup, and what controller would you suggest? I can't suggest controllers because the only one I've ever run is a TC1. And we can also control it with a Holly, which we probably will do, and it'll just be a 3-port. I've run lots of manual controllers. Trucks at work are too heavy for floor jacks. Won't even lift them. We have to use 20-ton bottle jacks. Yeah, if you're working with heavy stuff, you need heavy-duty equipment. Hey, Bruno, Brady, it's a cat. It doesn't care about you. Talking smack. We are thinking about a few gallons of water to add a bit of thermal mass to the cooling system, then run the factory radiator to stay out well within the rules. Factory radiator is only good for 80-ish horsepower. What car is? I don't remember what car only makes 80 horsepower. And if you think you need more reservoir, that's fine. We didn't need it in the Honda. Have you ever split a block? Yes. Working with Jimmy, we did a series for Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards where we ran a stock motor NA, then ran the stock motor with a turbo on the chassis dyno, then ran that combination at the drag strip, then put heads, cam, and intake manifold on it, ran it on the chassis dyno, then put the turbo on it and ran it on the turbo at the same boost, and then ran it at the track. And when we ran it at the track, it split the block. Oh, Honda Insight. Okay. That's a good car. I like those first gens. Loctite the Allen screw bolts in your aluminum floor jack. If you like to loosen without notice. Is there a video of the block splitting? I don't think there is. That was a story that I did for Muscle Mustangs and Fast Forwards way back, probably before I was doing YouTube. No, it was definitely before I was doing YouTube. It was way before that. But I think that the thing was making, I want to say 800 and something foot-pounds. I have to ask Jimmy about. He probably still has the dyno data there on his. I'd hope that he has that dyno data backed up from his stuff when he was at HP. Ran across the inside of the drag strip. It had a J Series V6 full race treatment. It was wild. I like the J Series. Jimmy has a cool turbo one. His His NSX is fast. That thing feels pretty sporty. It's a lot. Back in the day, stock blocks were scared to go over 1,000 horsepower. Local racing guy around here has a Insight B series swap. They say it's quick. The 2-valve 5.4 being able to build. Yeah, you can always make power with any motor. You can always make more than it makes stock. Ported heads, the trick flow heads, cams, all the normal things, boost, all those things are good. There's probably not a lot in the way of intake manifolds for that. But I used a 5.4 manifold. Yeah, I take that back. I think it was a 4.6. I used one of the aluminum ones that we used that and cut that to start making my Super Richie manifold. Have you ever used water wetter? I've never used it in an intercooler. And the gain that you would see from that would be onesies, twosies, things that wouldn't be significant. The best thing that you can do is change the temperature of your transfer medium, and that's ice water. I still have my OG floor jack. What RPM does a truck motor start to fall off? What intake do you have? That's going to dictate when the effective RPM. Yeah, so if you have a stock LS1 intake manifold, you shouldn't worry about the cam falling off. What's new with the Turbo Sprint? I just was working on it today. Bought a new floor jack for it. Got the axles halfway out. And all I need to do, as soon as I can pop the axles out of the transmission, then it's just the bolts holding the mounts and it's ready to come out. You use water wetter and the air to water to prevent stuff from growing in the water. Yeah, it's good to have something in there to stop the electrolysis rather than just running water in it. We used water wetter I ran it in the Mustang all the time at the Silver State. But I have no way of knowing what it did. Tim, the guy from Redline, I was good friends with him, and he used to help me out a lot with oil and water wetter. So we ran his stuff and promoted his stuff. My Mustang never overheated until I put the R trim on it and put a hole through the side of the head. Do you like using more than one power adder? I have videos up with that. We've run nitrous with blowers, nitrous with turbos, run turbos with blowers, run turbos with other turbos, all of that stuff. We've tried all that. You still have your first floor jack. It's like 50-50, 49 yes and 51 no. Let's close that out. We got one more minute. My brother has an aluminum 6-liter and is making 1,100 wheel horsepower on 17 pounds on pump fuel. Like what? Like 91 or 93 or E85? That seems way off for pump gas. We considered a 3.8 in the Insight for E-Class. Richard by ban us. Why would I ban you? I don't care what you run. I want you to run something. Oh, Jordan, you guys gave up on your bike and your motorcycle dreams? So that can't be right. Oh, okay. +1. $11.82. Yeah, something's going on there. Just ordered the Truck Plus cam. Congratulations. One-piece forged valves are must for 8,000 RPM. Factory all use a two-piece friction welded heads to valve stems. Been that way since 1910. The video title made you chuckle. They use a 366 big block Chevy and NASCAR I've seen. They use the tall deck one in NASCAR? I wouldn't think that would be good for hood clearance. I don't think you can get to 540 inches with a 366. I don't think you have a big enough bore potential. You you saw it on Facebook, so it must be true. That's the metric, right? That's the litmus test. If it's on there, then it must be true. And on that note, it is time to go. But the good news is I'll be back tomorrow. And I will see you all then.